We have two platforms within the company. One is iNurture, which is the offline model, and then we have an online tech platform called Kraken. We actually got this has been unique in both senses of what we do offline and online, and something very surprising because in India nothing stays unique for too long, right? But this has stayed unique, and that's probably because of the challenges of setting up a business like this. What the Kraken iNurture platform does is basically designs curriculum for undergrad and postgrad for universities that are more relevant for the jobs of tomorrow. Unfortunately, what's happening in not just the Indian education scenario but the global education scenario, curriculums have been set 10, 15, 20 years ago and have not changed. Mm-hmm. But industry has moved 20 steps ahead. So a lot of the students, and you must be reading it, again I say it's not an India problem, it's a global problem. Students are coming out, students are getting employed, but if you ask the industry, they will say they are not employable. Right? But they don't have a choice, so they are taking students and training them. Mm-hmm. So what we do is that we work with industry, mm-hmm. and we design graduate, postgraduate programs, mm-hmm. and making that curriculum very relevant because it's jointly developed with industry. And then we manage the entire program along with the university. The universities give us the infrastructure, they give us the local brand, and they also give us that piece of paper which says you're a graduate. But everything end to end is managed by us within the university. So that's the uniqueness of the model. And I don't think globally, apart from India, this model exists anywhere else. Of course, we are now taking it global. The Kraken platform, which is the EdTech platform, what it does is that it does the same thing which we are doing for our students, but it does it for every other student in the university. So today what's happening is there are multiple programs that are being run by the university, and because the curriculum is outdated, the students don't have the skills that the industry wants. So what this platform does is that it takes the profile of the student. It's an artificially intelligent platform, it's an AI-based platform, which takes the profile of the student based on what they have done in their 10th grade, 12th grade, and what subjects they are studying. And a student can pick any job profile out of thousands of jobs in the industry, mm-hmm. and the platform will match their skill sets mm-hmm. to the skill sets required in the job, and then guide them into how they can upskill themselves for that particular job. Right? So it can be a cross matching. Mm-hmm. It could be somebody doing liberal studies who decides to do fintech, mm-hmm. can now get onto the platform and say, in the 4 years that I'm there, mm-hmm. what will be the skill gaps that I will have for the job? And in the 4 years, build those skills. Because what is happening is that if you look at what's happening globally, mm-hmm. The industry now is coming out and saying, and it's already happening in the US, in Europe, industry is saying, when you apply for a job, mm-hmm. don't tell me which college you studied in, mm-hmm. don't tell me what program you did, just tell me, do you have the 5 skills that the job requires? And as you know, because the curriculums are archaic, the students are not going to have the skills for that particular job. So that's what Kraken does. It matches and then guides the student over the 5 years or 4 years on how they can build what we call as a industry employability meter for the student.
So when you say that, these courses, so you said obviously you are looking into future phased courses, yeah. which are more future ready kind of concept.
Yes, absolutely.
Which has got more employabilities from probably 10, 15, 20 years from now on also. When you say your courses are designed in coordination with the corporates, mm-hmm. so are you going to so suppose if I take IT, mm-hmm. so when you take IT, it's a vast industry in itself, it's a vast study yes. platform where you've yes. got various other things. Mm-hmm. So are you creating on each platform on IT's domain related courses?
Absolutely. So while the university today in general, I would say 9 out of 10 universities are still running the coding and software programs mm-hmm. that they have been doing 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the softwares that they are using in the university is obsolete in industry. Mm-hmm. So we don't go and try and redesign their program. What we did was we looked at all emerging and future technologies like cloud, security, AI, IoT, data science, blockchain, and we designed 3-year, 4-year graduate programs and offer it to students with a clear niche in the emerging trends and sectors.
So when you say you design these courses, as far as the Indian education system goes, so all these courses needs to be approved by the UGC also for any degrees or anything. So whose responsibility it is to get those courses recognized by the United University Grant Commission?
Right. So we actually work with private universities. So when a private university is given a status of a university, it comes along with autonomy for the university to decide on what programs they can offer. The template is structured by the regulatory body, but what you populate it with, that is the number of credits, the number of hours, which specializations, what are majors, what are minors, can be decided by the university. So what it does is it approves a particular program through its own board of studies and academic council, and then informs the regulator that we are now offering new programs in the university. What the regulator might do is to come and inspect whether you have the infrastructure to offer the programs, whether you have the right faculties to offer the programs, but they don't have to wait to get approval from the regulator to start a program. So the university can then create their own program once the internal approvals are obtained.
So how did this idea of getting into this space came into your mind? So you are a founder of this concept. How did this came to you? I mean,
so my family has been running a university for the last 40 years, and today we are ranked very highly in the various rankings that are coming out. But even at that level, there were a lot of gaps that we had in the university. And we realized that as a standalone university, whatever we try, however hard we try, there are certain gaps that cannot be fulfilled by a standalone university. So that's when I realized that if our university has this, then majority of the university will be having the same problem, and that meant it was a huge opportunity. And as a single university, you cannot launch these because other universities will never take help from a competitor. So it had to be outside, a completely independent company. And also what happened was that a model like this needs heavy investment into content development.
Right.
And the only way that you can raise funds is to be outside of the regulation and to be a for-profit company. So that's how the structure came up, initially by understanding what were the gaps that our own university had, and fulfilling those gaps within the university, and then realized that it was scalable to all universities across the country. And also because of what industry was saying and what university was saying the gaps were, there was a huge opportunity in creating this model. But like I said, the challenge was that something like this was very unique. It was a disruptor. So that meant the time to scale was much longer. That means the investment required was much longer. And probably because of those challenges, we still don't see competition for us in India. And like I said, it's not just an India problem. Today we are going global. We've entered Morocco, we've entered Uganda, we've entered the Middle East, and right now we're looking at entering the US and Europe.
So, you've been doing a lot of work in transforming the Indian education system. When you see the brains that are coming out of India over the last many years, what kind of shift do you see between probably something about 10-15 years back to the current generation when they're passing out?
Right. I think one of the biggest changes that today that we see is that 15 years back, your options of what you wanted to do were very limited. Right? If you were commerce, then it was chartered accountancy. If it was not engineering, then it was medicine. Today, a child can chase their passion or their dreams because there are that many options available, and each passion has a well-paying job that's available to them. So I think the biggest change is the choice that students have today when it comes to the career options. So that's the biggest change. I think too, along with that, the acceptability of medical engineering not being the only profession is much more acceptable to parents that are there today. So I think those are the biggest transformations that you've seen in education. And there has been a bit of autonomy which was not there earlier, which the present government, what I hear in the new policy that's coming out there, they're going to give greater autonomy to colleges to decide, not just universities, but even colleges to decide what subjects they want to offer, what faculties they want to take in. I think those are the two big changes that are going to transform the Indian education system.
And one last question, been doing this for many years. What has been keeping you going on with with the same pace and the same passion that you have been when you started this?
See, one thing is that education is something that can transform a country, and thanks to where the education system has been in India. And again, I talk about India because that's where I'm from, but it's a global problem, and therefore the opportunity that is there in the whole education system. If you look at India itself, right, our GER, what they call as a gross enrollment rate, today is still in the 20s. Right, and the government is targeting a 35% in the next 5 years. That means the number of students who have entered school, who are then getting into higher education, will actually double. So there is, being a young population, that is a huge opportunity that is there in the market today. And it is a business. I mean, I'm not saying we are doing this all for charity, but there's a social cost because you're actually transforming the lives of students into career options that are going to bring the whole country up, because I think today for any country to develop, education is a key factor.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Pleasure having a discussion with you.
Thank you very much.
We'll love to see you around in the evening.